going to be reading in Proverbs. Again, I am using the Interlinear Bible, and I'm not sure if we're going to be able to complete all 31 chapters in one sitting, but I will come back on and complete to chapter 31. Chapter 1 of Proverbs. The Proverbs of Solomon, son of David, king of Israel, to know wisdom and instruction, to understand the words of understanding, to receive instruction in prudence, justice and judgment, and uprightness, to give sense to the simple, knowledge and discretion to the young man. The wise hears and increases learning, and the understanding ones will get wise counsel, to understand a proverb and an enigma, the words of the wise and their acute sayings. The fear of Jehovah is the beginning of knowledge. Fools despise wisdom and instruction. My son, hear your father's instruction, and do not forsake the teaching of your mother, for they shall be an ornament of grace to your head, and chains for your neck. My son, if sinners lure you, do not be willing. If they say, and wait for blood, let us secretly, let us swallow them up alive in Sheol, and whole as those who go down into the pit. We shall find all precious goods. We shall fill our houses with plunder. Cast in your lot among us. One purse shall be to all of us. My son, do not walk in the way with them. Hold back your foot from their path. For their feet run to evil, and they haste to shed blood. For in vain the net is spread in the sight of every bird, and they lie in wait for their own blood. They lurk secretly for their own souls. The ways of everyone who gets unjust gain. It takes away its owner's. Wisdom cries aloud in the plaza. She gives her voice in the square. She calls at the head of gathering places. In the opening of the gates, in the city, she utters her words. How long will you love to be simple, you simple ones? And will scorners desire scorn for themselves? And will fools hate knowledge? Turn back at my warning. Behold, I will pour out my spirit to you. I will make my words known to you, because I have called, and you have refused. I have stretched out a hand, and none inclines. But you have ignored all my counsel. You did not want my warning. I also will laugh in your calamity. I will mock when your dread comes. When your dread comes like a storm, and your calamity arrives like a hurricane. When distress and constraint come on you, then they shall call on me, and I will not answer. They shall seek me early, but they shall not find me. Instead, they hated knowledge and chose not to fear, not the fear of Jehovah. They did not want my counsel. They despised all my reproof. And they shall set of the fruit of their own, and they shall eat of the fruit of their own way, and be filled with their own lust. For the going astray of the simple kills them, and the ease of fools destroys them. But he who listens to me shall live securely, and shall be at ease from the dread of evil. Proverbs chapter 2. My son, if you will receive my words and treasure up my commandments with you, so that you attend to wisdom, you shall extend your heart to understanding. For if you cry for discernment, lifting up your voice for understanding, if you seek her as silver and search for her as hidden treasures, then you shall understand the fear of Jehovah and find knowledge of God. For Jehovah gives wisdom. Out of his mouth comes knowledge and understanding. He lays up sound wisdom for the upright. He is a shield to the integrity, to guard the paths of. He protects the way of his saints. Then you shall understand righteousness and judgment and honesty, yea, every good path. When wisdom enters into your heart, and knowledge is pleasing to your soul, discretion shall keep you, understanding shall watch over you, to deliver you from the evil way, from the man who speaks perverse things, those who leave the paths of uprightness, to walk in the ways of darkness, who rejoice to do evil. They delight in the perversities of the wicked, whose paths are crooked, who are devious in their tracks. These will deliver you from the strange woman, from the foreigner who flatters with her words, who forsakes the guide of her youth and forgets the covenant of her God. For her house bows down to death, and her tracks to the departed spirits. All going in to her do not return, nor do they reach the ways of life. Then you may walk in the paths of the good and keep the ways of the righteous. For the upright shall live in the land, and the perfect shall remain in it. But the wicked shall be cut off from the earth, and the transgressors shall be rooted out of it. Chapter 3. My son, do not forget my law, but let your heart keep my commands. For they shall add length of days and long life and peace to you. Mercy and truth will not forsake you. Tie them on your neck. Write them on the tablet of your heart. And you shall find favor and good understanding in the sight of God and man. Trust in Jehovah with all your heart, and lean not to your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct your paths. Do not be wise in your own eyes. Fear Jehovah and depart from evil. Healing shall be to your navel, and marrow to your. Honor Jehovah with your substance, and with your first fruits of all your increase. And your barns shall be filled with plenty, and your presses shall burst with new wine. My son, do not reject the chastening of Jehovah, and do not loathe his correction. For whom Jehovah loves, he corrects, even as a father the son he loves. Happy is the man who finds wisdom, and the man who gets understanding. For its gain is better than the gain from silver, and its produce more than fine gold. She is more precious than rubies, and all the things you can desire are not to be compared with her. Length of days is in her right hand, riches and honor in her left hand. Her ways are ways of pleasantness, and all her paths peace. She is a tree of life to the ones who lay hold on her, and happy are the ones holding her fast. Jehovah founded the earth by wisdom. He founded the heavens by understanding. The depths were broken up by his knowledge, and the clouds dropped down the dew. My son, do not let them depart from your eyes. Keep sound wisdom and judgment, and they shall be life to your soul and grace to your neck. Then you shall walk in your way safely, and your foot shall not stumble. When you lie down, you shall not dread. Yea, you shall lie down, and your sleep shall be sweet. Do not be afraid of sudden terror, nor of the destruction of the wicked when it comes. For Jehovah shall be at your side, and he shall keep your foot from being caught. Do not withhold good from those to whom it is due. When it is in the power of your hand to do it, do not say to your neighbor, go and come back again, or tomorrow I will give, when you have it beside you. Do not plan evil against your neighbor, since he lives trustingly by you. Do not strive with a man without cause. If he has done you no harm, do not envy the cruel man, and choose not among all his ways. For the perverse one is hateful to Jehovah, but his intimacy is with the righteous. The curse of Jehovah is in the house of the wicked, but he blesses the abode of the just. Surely he scorns the scorners, but he gives grace to the lowly. The wise inherit honor, but the foolish exalt shame. Chapter 4. Sons, hear the instruction of a father, and listen so as to know understanding. For I give you good teaching. Do not forsake my law, for I was my father's son, tender, and an only one in the sight of my mother. And he taught me and said to me, let your heart cling to my words. Keep my commands and live. Get wisdom, get understanding. Do not forsake and do not turn away from the words of my mouth. Do not forsake her, and she will preserve you. Love her, and she will keep you. Wisdom is the main thing. Get wisdom. And with all you're getting, get understanding. Exalt her, and she will lift you up. She shall bring you to honor when you embrace her. She shall give a wreath of grace to your head. She shall shield you with a crown of glory. O my son, hear and receive my sayings, and the years of your life shall be many. I have taught you in the way of wisdom. I have led you in the right tracks. When you go, your tracks shall not be narrowed, and when you run, you shall not stumble. Take fast hold of instruction. Do not let her go. Keep her, for she is your life. Do not enter the path of the wicked, and do not go in the way of evildoers. Avoid it. Do not pass by it. Turn from it and pass on, for they do not sleep if they have done no evil, and their sleep is taken away unless they cause some to fall. For they eat the bread of wickedness and drink the wine of violence. But the path of the just is as bright as a bright light, going on and shining till the day is established. The way of the wicked is as darkness. They do not know at what they stumble. My son, listen to my words. Bow your ear to what I say. Let them not depart from your eyes. Keep them in the center of your heart, for they are life to those who find them, and healing to all his flesh. Keep your heart with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life. Turn away from you the crooked mouth, and put devious lips far from you. Let your eyes look to the front, and let your eyelids look straight before you. Steady the track of your feet, and all your ways will be established. Do not turn to the right or to the left. Turn your foot aside from evil. Chapter 5. My son, listen to my wisdom. Bow your ear to my understanding in order to keep discretion, that your lips may guard knowledge. For the lips of a strange woman drip honey, and her palate is smoother than oil. But afterwards she is as bitter as wormwood, sharp as a sword of mouths. Her feet go down to death. Her steps take hold on Sheol. Lest you should meditate on the path of life, her track. Then hear, sons, and do not depart from the words of my mouth. Remove your ways far from her, and do not come near to the door of her house, lest you give your honor to others and your years to the cruel, that strangers not be filled with your strength, and your labors be in the house of an alien, and you moan when your end comes, when your flesh and muscle away, and say, how I have hated instruction, and my heart despised correction. And I have not bowed to the voice of my teachers, nor bowed my ears to those instructing me. I was almost in all evil in the midst of the congregation and assembly. Drink waters out of your own cistern, and running waters out of your own well. Should your overflowing springs be scattered outside, like rivers of waters in the streets? Let them be only your own. and not to the strangers with you. Let your fountains be blessed and rejoice with the wife of your youth. She is a loving deer, a graceful doe. Let her breast satisfy you every time, and always be ravished in her love. And my son, why will you be ravished with a strange woman, and embrace a foreigner's bosom? For the ways of man are before the eyes of Jehovah, and he ponders all his tracks. His own iniquity shall take the wicked himself, and shall be held with the cords of his sin. He shall die without instruction, and in the greatness of his foolishness he shall go astray. Chapter 6. My son, if you are surety for your friend, if you struck your palms with an alien, you are snared with the words of your mouth. You are captured with the words of your own mouth. My son, do this then, and deliver yourself when you slumber to your eyelids. Deliver yourself like a gazelle from a hand of a hunter, and as a bird from the fowler's hand. Go to the ant, lazy man, consider her ways, and be wise, who having no guide, overseer, or ruler, provides her bread in the summer, gathers her food in the harvest. How long will you lie down, O lazy man? When will you rise out of your sleep? Sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands. So shall your poverty come as one stalking, and your need like an armed man. A worthless person, a wicked man, walks with a perverse mouth, winking with his eyes, he speaking with his feet, teaching with his fingers. Perversity is in his heart. He is plotting evil. Sends out strife. On account of this, calamity suddenly. He is quickly broken, and there is no healing. These 6 things Jehovah hates. 7 are hateful to his soul: a lying tongue, and hands that shed innocent blood, a heart that plots evil plans, feet hurrying to run to mischief, a false witness who breathes lies, and he who causes strife among brethren or brothers. My son, keep your father's commands, and do not forsake the law of your mother. Tie them to your heart forever. Tie them around your neck. When you go, it shall lead you, and when you sleep, it shall watch over you. And when you awaken, it will meditate with you. And the law, a light, and reproof, instruction, are a way of life, to keep you from the evil woman, flattery of the tongue of the strange woman. Do not your heart, and do not let her take you. For on account of a woman, a harlot, a man comes to the last loaf of bread, and another man's wife will hunt for the precious soul. Can a man take fire into his bosom, and his clothes not be burned? Or can a man walk on hot coals, and his feet not be burned? So is he who goes in to his neighbor's wife. Every one touching her shall not be innocent. They do not despise a thief, if he steals to fill his appetite when he is hungry. But if he is found, he shall restore sevenfold. He shall give all the goods of his house. He who commits adultery with a woman lacks heart. He who does it is a destroyer of his own soul. He shall find a wound and dishonor, and his shame shall not be wiped away. For jealousy is the rage of a man, and he will not spare in the day of vengeance. He will not lift up the face of every ransom, nor will he consent if you multiply the bribes. Chapter 7. My son, keep my words and store up my commands within you. Keep my commands and live, and my law as the pupil of your eye. Tie them on your fingers, write them on the tablet of your heart. Say, you are my sister, and call understanding your kinsman, so that they may keep you from the strange woman, from the alien with her flattering words. For I looked through my lattice at the window of my house, and I saw among the simple ones I observed among the sons a young man lacking heart, passing through the street near her corner, and he went the way to her house in the twilight, in the evening, in the black and darkness of night. And behold, a woman to meet him with a harlot's dress and a guarded heart. She is loud and stubborn. Her feet do not stay in her own house. At this time she is outside, now in the streets, and she lies in wait at every corner. And she seizes him and kisses him. She hardens her face and says to him, sacrifices of peace offerings are on me. Today I have paid my vows. So I came out to meet you, earnestly to seek your face, and I have found you. I have spread my couch with coverings, with striped cloths of Egyptian linen. I have sprinkled my bed with myrrh, aloes, and cinnamon. Come, let us take our fill of love until the morning. Delight ourselves with caresses. For my husband is at his house. He is going in the way, far away, of silver in his hand. At the day of the full moon, he will enter his houses, or his house. With the sum of her persuasion, she turned him aside. With the flattering of her lips, she forced him. He goes after her immediately, as an ox goes to the slaughter, or as one in fetters goes to the correction of a fool, until an arrow strikes through his liver, as a bird hastens to the snare, and not knowing that it is for his soul. Now then listen to me, O sons, and attend to the words of my mouth. Do not let your heart turn aside to her ways. Do not go astray in her paths, for many are the wounded she has caused to fall, and plentiful all her slain ones of death. Call, and understanding gives her voice. She stands in the head of heights, by the roadside, between the houses of the paths. She cries beside the gates, in the entrance to the city, at the doors. I call to you, O men, and my voice is to the sons of men. Understand wisdom, simple ones, and be of an understanding heart, fools. Hear, for I will speak of excellent things, and from the opening of my lips shall be right things, for my mouth shall speak of truth, and wickedness is hateful to my lips. All the words of my mouth are in righteousness. Nothing twisted or perverse is in them. They are all plain to the understanding one, and right to those who find knowledge. Receive my instruction, and not silver, and knowledge rather than choice gold. For wisdom is better than jewels, and all delights cannot be compared to it. I, wisdom, dwell with sense, and search out knowledge of wise actions. The fear of Jehovah is to hate evil. I hate pride and loftiness, and the evil way, and the perverse mouth. Counsel and sound wisdom are mine. I am understanding. I have strength. By me kings reign, and princes decree righteousness. Rulers and nobles rule by me, and all the judges of the earth. I love those who love me, and those who seek me early find me. Riches and honor are with me, enduring wealth and righteousness. My fruit is better than gold, yea, than fine gold, and my incense and my increase is better than the best silver. I walk in the path of righteousness, in the midst of the paths of justice. I cause those who love me to inherit wealth, and I will fill up their treasuries. Jehovah possessed me in the beginning of his way, from then before his works. I was set up from everlasting, from the beginning, before the earth ever was. When there were no depths, I was brought forth. When there were no springs heavy with water, before the mountains were settled, before the hills, I was brought forth. Before he had made the earth and the fields, or the highest part of the dust of the world. When he prepared the heavens, I was there. When he set a circle on the face of the deep. When he set the clouds above. When he made the strong fountains of the deep. When he gave to the sea its limit, that the waters should not go beyond his commands. When he decreed the foundations of the earth, then I was at his side, like a master workman, and I was his delight day by day, rejoicing before him, and every time rejoicing in the world. His earth and my delights were with the sons of men. And now listen to me, O sons, for blessed are those who keep my ways. Hear instruction and be wise, and do not refuse it. Blessed is the man listening to me, watching daily at my gates, waiting at the post of my doors. For whoever finds me finds life, and he shall obtain favor from Jehovah. But he who sins against me does violence to his own soul. All who hate me love death. Chapter 9. Wisdom has built her. She has slaughtered her slaughter. She has mixed her wine. She has also set her table. She has sent out her maidens. She cries on the highest places of the city, the simple one, turn in here. And to one lacking heart, she says to him, come, eat of my bread, and drink of the wine I have mixed. Forsake the foolish and live, and go in the way of understanding. He who reproves a scorner gets shame to himself, and he who rebukes a wicked man gets his own blot. Do not reprove a scorner, that he not hate you. Rebuke a wise man, and he will love you. Give to a wise one, and he will be more wise. Teach a just one, and he will increase in learning. The fear of Jehovah is the beginning of wisdom, and the knowledge of the holy ones is understanding. For by me your days shall be multiplied, and the years of your life shall be increased. If you are wise, you shall be wise for yourself. But if you scorn, you alone shall bear it. A foolish woman is loud. She is thoughtlessness, and she knows not what. And she sits at the door of her house, in a seat in the high places of the city, to call those who pass by, who are going straight on their ways. The simple one, let him turn in here. And to the one lacking heart, she says to him, stolen waters are sweet, and bread eaten in secret is pleasant. But he does not know that the departed spirits are there. Her guests are in the depths of Sheol. Chapter 10. The Proverbs of Solomon. A wise son makes a father rejoice, but the foolish son is his mother's sorrow. Treasures of wickedness profit nothing, but righteousness delivers from death. Jehovah will not allow the soul of the righteous to go hungry, but he pushes away the desire of the wicked. He who deals with a lazy palm becomes poor, but the hand of the hard worker makes him rich. He who gathers in summer is a prudent son. He who sleeps in harvest is a son who causes shame. Blessings are on the head of the just, but violence covers the mouth of the wicked. The memory of the just is blessed, but the name of the wicked shall rot. The wise in heart accepts commands, but the foolish of lips shall be thrust away. He who walks in integrity walks securely, but he who perverts his way shall be found out. He who winks the eye causes sorrow, but the foolish of lips shall be thrust away. The mouth of the righteous is a fountain of life, but violence covers the mouth of the wicked. Hatred stirs up fights, but love covers all transgressions. Wisdom is found in the lips of him who has understanding, but a rod is waiting for him who lacks heart. The wise store up knowledge, but the mouth of the foolish is near ruin. The rich man's wealth is his strong city. The ruin of the poor is their poverty. The labor of the righteous is for life. The gain of the wicked is for sin. He who heeds instruction is in the way of life, but he who refuses reproof is going astray. He who hides hatred with lying lips, and he who sends out a slander, he is a fool. In the abundance of words, transgression does not cease, but one restraining his lips is prudent. The tongue of the just is as choice silver. The heart of the wicked is as a little. The lips of the righteous feed many, but fools die for lack of heart. The blessing of Jehovah, it makes rich, and he adds no pain with it. To work out evil devices is as laughter to the foolish, so wisdom is to a man of understanding. That which the wicked fears shall come upon him, but the desire of the righteous is granted. As the storm passes, so the wicked is not, but the righteous is an everlasting foundation. Like vinegar to the teeth, and like smoke to the eyes, so is the lazy one to those who send him. The fear of Jehovah prolongs days, but the years of the wicked shall be cut short. The expectation of the righteous is joyful, but the hope of the wicked shall perish. The way of Jehovah is strength to the upright, but ruin is to workers of iniquity. The righteous shall never be moved, and the wicked shall not dwell in the land. The mouth of the just flourishes with wisdom, but the perverse tongue shall be cut off. The lips of the righteous know what is pleasing, but the mouth of the wicked knows only perversities. Chapter 11. False balances are hateful to Jehovah, but a perfect stone his delight. Pride comes, then shame comes, but with the lowly is wisdom. The integrity of the upright guides them, but the perversity of traitors will devastate them. The day of wrath, but righteousness delivers from death. The righteousness of the perfect shall make his way right, but the wicked shall fall by his own wickedness. The righteousness of the upright shall deliver them, but traitors shall be taken in their lust. In the death of a wicked man, his expectation shall perish, and the hope of the unjust shall be lost. The righteous is delivered from distress, and the wicked comes in his place. The ungodly is corrupting his neighbor with his mouth, but the just is delivered by knowledge. When the righteous prospers, the city rejoices, and at the wicked's perishing is singing. A city is lifted up by the blessing of the upright, but by the wicked's mouth it is overthrown. One despising his friend lacks heart, but an understanding man remains silent. A slanderer is a revealer of secrets, but the faithful of spirit keeps a matter hidden. Without guidance, the people fall, but safety is in a great counselor. One is surety for a stranger, but one hating strikers of hands is safe. A gracious woman holds to honor, and terrifying men hold to riches. A merciful man does good to his own soul, but the cruel troubles his own flesh. The wicked makes a deceitful wage, but one sowing righteousness has a reward of truth. So righteousness leads to life, but one pursuing evil to his death. Hateful to Jehovah are the perverse hearted, but his delight is the hand joined to hand. The evil shall not be innocent, but the righteous seed escapes. As a ring of gold in a swine's snout, so is a woman who is beautiful, yet turning aside discretion. The desire of the righteous is only good, the hope of the wicked is wrath. There is one who scatters, yet increases more, but a withholder of just due comes only to poverty. The blessed soul will be made fat. He who waters will also drink fully. One holding back grain, the people curse him, but a blessing is to the head of the one selling grain. He who early is seeking good seeks favor, but one pursuing evil, it shall come to him. One trusting in his riches, he shall fall, but like a green leaf, the righteous shall sprout. One troubling his house inherits the wind, and the fool is servant to the wise of heart. The fruit of the righteous is a tree of life, and he who takes soul is wise. Behold, the righteous shall be rewarded in the earth, much more the wicked and the sinner. Chapter 12. Whoever loves instruction loves knowledge, but he who hates correction is like a brute animal. The good obtain grace from Jehovah, but he will condemn a man of wicked devices. A man shall not be established by wickedness, but the root of the righteous shall not be moved. A woman of virtue is a crown to her Lord, but one causing shame is like rottenness in his bones. The thoughts of the righteous are right. The counsels of the wicked are deceit. The words of the wicked ambush for blood, but the mouth of the upright shall deliver them. Overthrow the wicked, and they are not, but the house of the righteous stands. A man shall be praised according to his wisdom, but he who is of a crooked heart shall be despised. He who is despised and has a servant is better than one being honored. The righteous knows the life of his animal, but the mercies of the wicked are cruel. He who tills his land shall be satisfied with bread, but he chasing vanities lacks heart. The wicked desires the net of evils, but the root of the righteous gives fruit. In the transgression of the lips is the snare of evil, but the righteous will come out from distress. A man shall be satisfied, and the dealing of man's hands will return. The fool is right in his own eyes, but one listening to counsel. A fool's vexation is known in a day, but the astute one covers shame. He who breathes truth reveals righteousness, but a false witness deceit. There is a rash speaking like thrust of a sword. The wise heals. The lips of truth are established forever, but a lying tongue is only while I wink. Deceit is in the heart of those who plot evil, but to counselors of peace is joy. No trouble shall happen to the just, but the wicked shall be filled with evil. Lying lips are hateful to Jehovah, but those who deal faithfulness delight. A wise man conceals knowledge, but the heart of fools calls out their folly. The hand of the hard worker shall rule, but the idle will become forced labor. Heaviness in a man's heart makes it droop, but a good word makes it glad. The righteous searches out with his friend, but the way of the wicked leads them astray. The lazy one does not start after his game, but the wealth of a working man is precious. In the way of the righteous is life, and in the pathway is no death. Chapter 13. A wise son hears his father's instruction, but a scorner does not hear rebuke. From the fruit of his mouth a man eats good, but the desire of the deceiver is violence. He who guards his mouth keeps his life. He who opens his lips wide is ruined. The sluggard's soul is craving, but is not getting. But the soul of the hard workers shall be made fat. The righteous hates lying, but the wicked is odious and acts shamefully. Righteousness keeps the upright one in the way, but wickedness overthrows sin. There are those who act rich, yet have nothing at all, and those who act poor, yet have great wealth. The ransom of a man's life are his riches, but the poor man does not hear rebuke. The light of the righteous rejoices, but the lamp of the wicked shall be put out. Argument only comes by pride, but wisdom is with those who take advice. Wealth from vanity shall be diminished, but he who gathers by labor shall increase. Hope deferred makes the heart sick, but desire fulfilled is a tree of life. He who despises destroyed, but he who fears the commandment shall be rewarded. The law of the wise is a fountain of life, to depart from the snares of death. Good sense gives grace, but the way of the treacherous is continual. Every prudent one deals with knowledge, but a fool lays open his foolishness. Falls into evil, but a faithful ambassador is healing. Poverty and shame shall be to him who refuses instruction, but he who keeps to correction shall be honored. The desire coming to pass is sweet to the soul, but to depart from evil is hateful to fools. He who walks with the wise shall be wise, but a feeder of fools shall be broken. Evil pursues sinners, but the righteous shall be rewarded with good. A good man leaves an inheritance to his sons' sons, but the wealth of the sinner is laid up for the just. The tilled ground of the poor yields much food, but without justice it is swept away. He who spares his rod hates his son, but he who loves him seeks him with correction. The righteous eats to the satisfying of his appetite, but the belly of the wicked shall lack. Chapter 14. A wise woman builds her house, but the foolish pulls it down with her own hands. He who walks in his uprightness fears Jehovah, but the perverse in his ways despise him. A rod of pride is in the mouth of a fool. The stall is empty where there are no oxen, but much gain is by the strength of an ox. A faithful witness will not lie, but a false witness breathes lies. A scorner seeks wisdom, but finds it not, yet knowledge is swift to the discerning. Leave a foolish man, or you will not see the lips of knowledge. The wisdom of the wise is to understand his way, but the foolishness of fools is deceit. Fools laugh at guilt offering, but among the righteous is favor. The heart knows the bitterness of its soul, and a stranger does not mix in its joy. The wicked's house shall be thrown down, but the tent of the upright will flourish. There is a way that seems right to a man, but the end of it is the ways of death. Even in laughter, the heart is sorrowful, and the end of that joy is heaviness. The backslider in heart shall be filled with his own ways, but a good man from himself. The simple believes everything, but the wise considers his step. The wise fears and departs from evil, but the fool rages and is sure. He who is short of temper acts foolishly, and a man of evil plots is hated. The simple inherit foolishness, but the wise are crowned with knowledge. The evil bow before the good, yea, the wicked at the gates of the just. The poor is hated, even by his own neighbor, but the rich has many friends. He who despises his neighbor sins, but he who has mercy on the poor, oh, how happy is he. Do not those who think evil go astray, but mercy and truth will be to those who think of good. In all labor there is profit, but the talk of the lips tends only to poverty. The crown of the wise is their riches of wisdom. The foolishness of fools is folly. A true witness delivers souls, but a deceitful witness speaks lies. In the fear of Jehovah is strong trust, and his sons shall have a hiding place. The fear of Jehovah is a fountain of life, to turn away from snares of death. In the multitude of people is the king's glory, but in the lack of people is the ruin of a prince. One slow to anger is of great understanding, but he who is short of spirit exalts folly. A healthy heart is the life of the flesh, but envy is the rottenness of the bones. He who oppresses the poor curses his maker, but he who honors him has mercy on the needy. The wicked is thrust out in his wickedness, but the righteous has hope in his death. Wisdom rests in the heart of the intelligent, and among fools it is revealed. Righteousness exalts a nation, but sin is a shame to any people. The king's favor is toward a servant who acts prudently, but his wrath takes place on one causing shame. Chapter 15. A soft answer turns away anger. The tongue of the wise uses knowledge rightly, but the mouth of fools pour out foolishness. The eyes of Jehovah are in every place, watching the evil and the good. A wholesome tongue is a tree of life, but perverseness in it is a break of the spirit. A fool despises his father's instruction, but he keeping correction. In the house of the righteous is much treasure, but in the gain of the wicked is trouble. The lips of the wise extend knowledge, but the heart of the fool is not so. The sacrifice of the wicked is a hateful thing to Jehovah, but the prayer of the upright is his delight. The way of the wicked is hateful to Jehovah, but he loves him who pursues righteousness. This forsakes the way. He who hates hell and destruction are before Jehovah. Even more the hearts of the sons of men. A scorner loves not one who corrects him, nor will he go to the wise. A joyful heart makes a good face, but by grief of heart the spirit is stricken. The heart of the understanding one seeks knowledge, but the mouth of fools feeds on folly. All the days of the afflicted are evil, but gladness of heart is a continual feast. Better is a little with the fear of Jehovah than great treasure and tumult with it. Better is a dinner of vegetables where love is than a stalled ox and hatred with it. A furious man stirs up quarrels, but he who is slow to anger calms fighting. The way of the lazy one is like a hedge of thorns, but the path of the righteous is exalted. A wise son makes a glad father, but a foolish man despises his mother. Foolishness is joy to him who lacks understanding, but a man of understanding walks straight. Without counsel, but by great counselors they rise. A man has joy by the answer of his mouth, and how good is a word in its season. The path of life is upward to the prudent, that he may turn away from Sheol downward. Jehovah will destroy the house of the proud, but he will set up the widow's border. The thoughts of the wicked are very hateful to Jehovah, but the words of pleasantness are pure. He who is greedy for gain troubles his own house, but he who hates bribes shall live. The heart of the righteous muses how to answer, but the mouth of the wicked pours out evil things. Jehovah is far from the wicked, but he hears the prayer of the righteous. The light of the eyes rejoices the heart. A good report makes the bones fat. The ear that hears the reproof of life shall remain among the wise. He who refuses instruction despises his own soul, but he who hears reproof gets understanding. The fear of Jehovah is instruction in wisdom, and before honor is humility. Chapter 16. The orderings are for man, and the answer of the tongue from Jehovah. All the ways of a man are pure in his own eyes, but Jehovah weighs the spirits. And your thoughts shall be blessed. Jehovah his purpose, yea, even the wicked for the day of evil. Everyone proud in heart is disgusting to Jehovah. Though hand join in hand, he shall not be innocent. Iniquity is covered by mercy and truth, and in the fear of Jehovah men turn aside from evil. When a man's ways please Jehovah, he makes even his enemies to be at peace with him. Better is a little with righteousness than great increase without right. A man's heart plans his way, but Jehovah fixes his step. Godly decision is on the lips of the king. His mouth is a just scale and balance of the bag are his words. It is an abomination for kings to commit wickedness by righteousness, and he speaking uprightly is loved. A king's fury is as messengers of death, but a wise man will cover it. In the light of the face of the king is life, and his favor is like a cloud of the latter rain. How much better to get wisdom than gold? To get understanding is to be chosen above silver. The way of the upright is to turn away from evil. He, keeping his soul, watches his way. Pride goes before destruction, and a haughty spirit before a fall. It is better to be of a lowly spirit with the poor than to divide the spoil with the proud. He who acts prudently shall find good, and he who trusts in Jehovah, how happy is he. The wise in heart shall be called prudent, and sweetness of lips increases learning. Prudence is a fountain of life to those who own it, but the teaching of fools is folly. The heart of the wise makes his mouth prudent, and he adds learning on his lips. Pleasant words are an overflowing of honey, sweetness to the soul and healing. There is a way that seems right to a man's face, but the end of death. He who labors works for himself, for his mouth urges him on. A worthless man plots evil, and on his lips it is like a burning fire. A perverse man causes strife, and a whisperer separates close friends. A violent man lures his neighbor and causes him to go in a way that is not good. He who shuts his eyes to plan perverse things, compressing his lips, he brings evil to pass. The gray head is a crown of glory. It is found in the way of righteousness. One slow to anger is better than the mighty, and he who rules his spirit than he who takes a city. The lot is cast into the lap, but all ordering of it is from Jehovah. Chapter 17. Better is a dry piece of bread and quietness with it than a house full of sacrifices with fighting. A servant who acts prudently shall rule over a son who causes shame, and he shall have part of the inheritance among the brothers. The refining pot is for silver, and the furnace for gold, but Jehovah tries the hearts. An evildoer gives heed to false lips. A liar listens to a tongue of whoever scorns the poor reveals his maker. He who rejoices at calamity shall not be innocent. Grandsons are the crown of old men, and the glory of sons is their fathers. An arrogant lip is not fitting for a fool, much less are lying lips for a noble. A bribe is a precious stone in the eyes of him who possesses it. Wherever he turns, he is circumspect. He who covers a transgression seeks love, but he who repeats a matter separates friends. A reproof enters more into a wise man than 100 stripes into a fool. A rebel seeks evil, so a cruel messenger is sent against him. Let a bear bereaved of her cubs meet a man, rather than a fool in his foolishness. Whoever rewards evil for good, evil shall not depart from his house. The beginning of strife is like the releasing of water. Therefore leave all fighting before it breaks out. He who justifies the wicked and he who condemns the just, even both of them are disgusting to Jehovah. Why is there hire in a fool's hand to get wisdom? And there is no heart for it. A friend loves at every time, but a brother is born for the time of trouble. A man lacking heart strikes the palm. He pledges in the presence of his friend. He loving strife loves rebellion. He who exalts his door seeks shattering. One crooked of heart does not find good, and he who is perverse in his tongue falls into evil. He who fathers a fool has sorrow for it, yea, the father of a fool has no joy. A cheerful heart makes good healing, but a stricken spirit out of the bosom to stretch the place of the wise is wisdom, but a fool's eyes are in the ends of the earth. A foolish son is a vexation to his father, and bitterness to her who bore him. And it is not good to punish the just, to strike leaders for uprightness. He who restrains his words knows knowledge, and a man of understanding is of a rare spirit. Even a fool who is silent is thought wise. He who shuts his lips to be understanding. Chapter 18. He who separates himself seeks his own desire. He breaks out against all sound wisdom. A fool has no delight in understanding, but only in uncovering his heart. When the wicked comes, scorn comes too, and with shame comes reproach. The words of a man's mouth are like deep waters, the fountain of wisdom like a flowing brook. To lift up the face of the wicked is not good, nor to turn aside the righteous in judgment. A fool's lips enter into strife, and his mouth calls for strokes. A fool's mouth is his destruction, and his lips are a snare of his soul. The words of a talebearer are as wounds, yea, they go down into the innermost chambers of the belly. And he who is slack in his work, he is a brother to a master destroyer. The name of Jehovah is a tower of strength. The righteous runs in and is set on high. The rich man's wealth is his strong city, and as a high wall in his imagination. A man's heart is haughty before shattering, but humility goes before honor. If one turns back a matter before he hears, it is folly and shame to him. The spirit of a man who nourish his sickness, but who can bear a wounded spirit? The heart of the prudent gets knowledge, and the ear of the wise seeks knowledge. A man's bribe makes room for him and brings him before great men. He who is first in his cause seems just, but his neighbor comes and searches him. The lot causes arguments to cease, and divides between the mighty. An offended brother is worse than a fortified city. Yea, their contentions are like the bars of a castle. A man's belly shall be satisfied with the fruit of his mouth. He shall be satisfied with the produce of his lips. Death and life are in the power of the tongue, and those who love it shall eat its fruit. Whoever finds a wife finds good, and gets favor from Jehovah. The poor speak with entreaties, but the rich answer fiercely. A man of friends may be broken up, but there is a lover who strikes closer than a brother. Chapter 19. The poor one who walks in his integrity is better than he who is perverse in his lips, and he is a fool. Also without knowledge, the soul is not good, and he rushing with his feet sins. The foolishness of man perverts his way, and his heart rages against Jehovah. Wealth adds many friends, but the poor is separated from his neighbor. A false witness shall not be clean, and a breather of lies shall not escape. Many will beg the face of a noble, and all are friends to a man of gifts. All the brothers of a poor one hate him, and surely his friends have been far from him. He pursues them with words, yet they are not. A false witness shall not be clean, and a breather of lies shall perish. Luxury is not becoming for a fool, much less for a servant to rule over rulers. A man's discretion makes his anger slow, and it is glory to pass over a transgression. The rage is like a roar of a lion, but his favor is as the dew on the grass. A foolish son is a calamity to his father, and the strivings of a woman are a never-ending dropping. House and riches are the legacy of fathers, but a woman who acts prudently is from Jehovah. Laziness to a deep sleep, and an idle soul shall be hungry. He keeping the commandment keeps his own soul. He despising his ways shall die. He having pity on the poor lends to Jehovah, and he will reward his dealing to him. Chasten your son, for there is hope, and do not set your soul on making him die. A man great of fury will have to pay the fine. For if you deliver him, then you must do it again. Hear advice and receive instruction, that you may be wise in your latter end. Many purposes are in a man's heart, but the counsel of Jehovah shall stand. The desire of a man is his kindness, and a poor man is better than a liar. The fear of Jehovah tends to life. He shall rest satisfied. He shall not be visited with evil. A lazy one puts his hand in a dish, and he will not return it to his mouth. Strike and the simple will become careful. Reprove a discerner, and he will discern knowledge. He who assaults his father chases his mother away. He is a son who causes shame and brings reproach. My son, cease to hear the teaching, and you will err from the words of knowledge. A worthless witness scorns justice, and the mouth of the wicked devours evil. Judgments are prepared for scorners, and blows for the backs of fools. Chapter 20. Wine is a mocker, strong drink is noisy, and all who stray by it are not wise. The fear of a king is as the roar of a lion. He who stirs him up to anger wrongs his own soul. For a man to cease from strife is an honor, but every fool exposes himself. The lazy man will not plow because of the cold. He begs at harvest, and nothing is there. Counsel in a man's heart is like deep water, but an understanding man will draw it out. Most men will proclaim each his own kindness, but who can find a faithful man? The just one walks in his integrity. Blessed are his sons after him. A king who sits on the throne of judgment scatters away all evil with his eyes. Who can say, I have cleansed my heart from sin? A stone and a stone, an ephah to an ephah. Both are hateful to Jehovah. Even a child makes himself known by his acts, whether his work is clean or upright. Jehovah has made the hearing ear and the seeing eye, even both of them. Do not love sleep, lest you be dispossessed. Open your eyes and be satisfied with bread. Bad, bad, says the buyer, but when it is left to him, then he boasts. There is gold and many gems, but the lips of knowledge are a rare vessel. Take his garment when he is surety for an alien, and bind him in pledge for strangers. Bread of falsehood is sweet to a man, but afterwards his mouth will be filled with gravel. Purposes are established in counsel. Yea, make war with wise guidance. A revealer of a secret walks about as a gossip. Yea, do not meddle with him who opens his lips. He, cursing his father or his mother, his lamp shall be put out in blackest darkness. An inheritance gotten hastily in the beginning, even the end of it shall not blessed. Do not say, I will repay evil. Wait on Jehovah, and he will save you. A stone and a stone are hateful to Jehovah. And balances of deceit are not good. The steps of a man are from Jehovah. And man, what can he discern of his way? It is a snare to a man to say rashly, a holy thing, and later he vows to inquire. A wise king scatters the wicked and turns the wheel over them. The spirit of man is the lamp of Jehovah, searching all the chambers of the belly. Mercy and truth preserve the king, and his throne is upheld by mercy. The glory of young men is their vigor, and the honor of old men is the gray head. The stripes of a wound cleanse away evil, and strokes the inward parts of the heart. Chapter 21. The king's heart is in the hand of Jehovah. As the streams of waters, he turns it wherever he desires. Every way of a man is upright in his own eyes, but Jehovah measures the hearts. To do righteousness and justice is to be chosen for Jehovah more than sacrifice. His eyes, a proud heart, high eyes, a proud heart, and the lamp of the wicked is sin. The thoughts of the diligent tend only to plenty, but those of every hasty one only to poverty. The getting of treasures by a lying tongue is a vapor driven by those who seek death. The violence of the wicked ensnares them, because they refuse to do justice. The way of a guilty man is perverted, but the pure, his work is right. It is better to dwell on a corner of a housetop than with a contentious woman, and to share a house. The soul of the wicked desires evil. His neighbor finds no favor in his eyes. The simple is made wise when the scorner is punished, and when the wise is instructed, he receives knowledge. The righteous one wisely considers the house of the wicked. He overthrows the wicked for his evil. Whoever stops his ears at the cry of the poor, he himself shall also call, and shall not be answered. A gift in secret subdues anger, yea, a bribe in the bosom quiets great fury. It is joy to the just to do justice, but terror shall come to the workers of evil. The man who wanders out of the way of prudence shall rest in the congregation of departed spirits. A man who loves pleasure shall be poor. He who loves wine and oil shall not be rich. The wicked shall be a ransom for the just, and the treacherous in the place of the upright. It is better to live in a land of the wilderness than with a contentious woman and vexation. A desirable treasure and oil are in the dwelling of the wise, but a foolish man devours it. He who pursues righteousness and mercy finds life, righteousness, and honor. A wise one ascends the city of the mighty and topples the strength in which it trusts. Whoever keeps his mouth and his tongue keeps his soul from distresses. Proud, haughty, scorner is his name. He who deals in proud wrath, the lust of the lazy man kills him, for his hands have refused to work. He lusts with lust all the day long, but the righteous gives and does not withhold. The sacrifice of the wicked is hateful. How much more when he brings it with an evil intent? A false witness shall perish, but the man who attends will speak forever. A wicked man hardens his face, but the upright sets up his ways. But to Jehovah belongs deliverance. A good name is to be chosen rather than great riches. Rather than silver or gold, favor is better. The rich and poor meet together. Jehovah is the maker of all of them. A sensible one sees the evil and hides himself, but the simple go on and are punished. The reward of humility is the fear of Jehovah. Riches and honor and life, thorns and snares are in the way of the perverse. He who keeps souls shall be far from them. Train up a boy on the opening of his way. Even when he is old, he will not turn aside from it. The rich rules over the poor, and the borrower is servant to a man who lends. He who sows injustice will reap evil, and the rod of his wrath shall fail. He who has a good eye, he is blessed, for he gives of his bread to the poor. Throw the scorner out, and strife shall go out. Yea, quarrels and shame shall cease. He who loves pureness of heart, grace is on his lips. The king shall be his friend. The eyes of Jehovah keep knowledge, and he overthrows the words of the treacherous. The lazy one says, a lion is outside, I will be killed in the streets. The mouth of alien women is a deep pit. Those despised by Jehovah shall fall there. Foolishness is bound up in the heart of a boy. The rod of correction shall drive it far from him. One oppresses the poor to multiply for himself. Another gives to the rich, only to come to poverty. Stretch your ear and hear the words of the wise, and set your heart to my knowledge, for they are pleasant. When you keep them within you, they shall all be fixed together on your lips, so that your trust may be in Jehovah. I caused you to know today, even you, Have I not written to you the third time with counsels and knowledge to cause you to know the verity of the words of truth, to return words of truth to those who send you? Rob not the poor, because he is poor, and oppress not the afflicted in the gate. For Jehovah will contend for their cause, and will plunder the soul of their plunderers. Do not feed a possessor of anger, and do not go in with a man of fury, lest you learn his ways and take a snare for your soul. Do not be one of those who strike the palm, those who are sureties for loans. If you have nothing to repay, why should he take away your bed from under you? Do not move the old landmark which your fathers have set. Do you see a man who is prompt in his work? He shall stand before kings. He shall not stand before obscure men. Chapter 23. When you sit down to eat with a ruler, look carefully at what is before you, and put a knife to your throat, if you are an owner of an appetite. Do not desire his delicacies, for it is the bread of lies. Do not labor to be rich. Cease from your own understanding. Will your eyes fly on it? And it is gone. For surely it makes wings for itself. It flies into the heavens like an eagle. Do not eat the bread of one having an evil eye, and do not desire his delicacies, for as he thinks in his heart, so is he. He says to you, eat and drink, but his heart is not with you. The morsel you have eaten, you shall vomit up, and spoil your sweet words. Do not speak in the ears of a fool, for he will despise the good sense of your words. Do not move the old landmark, and do not enter into the fields of the fatherless, for their Redeemer is mighty. He will contend for their cause with you. Bring your heart in for instruction and your ears to the words of knowledge. Do not withhold correction from a boy, for if you strike him with the rod, he will not die. You shall beat him with the rod, and you shall deliver him from Sheol. My son, if your heart is wise, my heart shall rejoice, even I, and my reins shall rejoice when your lips speak right things. Do not let your heart envy sinners, but only be in the fear of Jehovah all the day. For surely there is a hereafter, and your hope shall not be cut off. My son, hear you, and be wise, and advance your heart in the way. Be not among heavy drinkers of wine, with flesh gluttons to themselves. The drunkard and the glutton lose all, and sleepiness shall clothe one with rags. Listen to your father. This one fathered you. Do not despise your mother when she is old. Buy the truth and sell it not. Also wisdom, and instruction and understanding. The father of the righteous shall greatly rejoice, and he who fathers a wise one shall even be glad in him. Your father and your mother shall be glad, and she who bore you shall rejoice. My son, give me your heart, and let your eyes watch my ways. For a harlot is a deep pit, and a strange woman is a narrow well. Surely she lies in wait as for prey, and she increases the treacherous among men. Who has woe? Who sorrow? Who has contentions? Who has babbling? Who has wounds without cause? Who has dullness of eyes? Those who stray long at the wine. Those who go to seek mixed wine. Do not look at the wine when it is red, when it gives its color in the cup, when it goes down smoothly. At its last it bites like a snake, and it stings like a viper. Your eyes shall look on strange women, and your heart shall speak perverse things. Yea, you shall be as one who lies down in the middle of the sea, or as he who lies on the top of a mast, saying, They struck me, I was not sick. They beat me, yet I did not know. When I awaken, I will add to it, I will still seek it. Chapter 24. Do not envy evil men, nor desire to be with them, for their heart studies violence, and their lips talk of mischief. Through wisdom a house is built, and it is established by understanding, and by knowledge the room shall be filled with all precious and pleasant riches. A wise warrior is in strength. Yea, a man of knowledge firms up power. For you shall make war for yourself by wise advice, and safety is in the great counselor. Wisdom is too high for a fool. He does not open his mouth in the gate. He who plots to do evil shall be called a lord of evil plots. The plot of foolishness is sin, and the scorner is hateful to men. If you faint in the day of distress, your strength is small. If you hold back to deliver those being taken to death, and those stumbling for killing, for you say, Behold, we did not know it. Does not he who weighs the heart consider? And he who keeps our soul, does he not know? And he repays to a man according to his work. My son, eat honey, because it is good, and the honeycomb is sweet to your palate. So shall knowledge of wisdom be to your soul. When you have found there is a future, and your hope is not cut off. O wicked one, do not lie in ambush against the dwelling of the righteous. Do not violate his resting place, for a just one falls 7 times, and rises up again, but the wicked shall stumble into evil. Do not rejoice when your enemy falls, and do not let your heart be glad when he stumbles, that Jehovah not see and he turn away his anger from him. Do not burn in anger because of evildoers, and do not envy the wicked, for no hereafter shall be to the evil. The lamp of the wicked will be put out. My son, fear Jehovah and the king. Do not meddle with those who change, for their calamity shall rise suddenly. And who knows the ruin of both of them? These also are for the wise. To know persons in judgment is not good. He who says to the wicked, You are righteous, the peoples shall curse him. Nations shall abhor him. But to those who rebuke, it is pleasant, and a good blessing comes to them. He shall kiss the lips that return right words. Prepare your work outside, and make it fit for yourself in the field, and afterwards build your house. Do not be a witness against your neighbor without cause, or deceive with your lips. Do not say, I will do to him as he has done to me. I will repay each according to his work. I passed over the field of the lazy man, and by the vineyard of the heartless man, and lo, it was going up, all of it, with thistles, nettles had covered its surface, and its stone wall was broken down. Then I saw, I set my heart on it, I looked, I received instruction. A little sleep, a little to sleep. So shall your king, and your want like a man with a shield. Chapter 25. These are the Proverbs of Solomon, which the men of Hezekiah king of Judah copied out. The glory of God is to conceal a thing, but the glory of kings is to search out a matter. The heavens for height, and the earth for depth, but the heart of kings is unsearchable. Take away the dross from the silver, and a vessel from the refiners shall appear. Take away the wicked from before the king, and his throne is established in righteousness. Do not honor yourself before a king, and do not stand in the place of the great. For it is better he shall say to you, Come up here, than that you should be put lower before a noble whom your eyes have seen. Do not hastily go out to fight. What shall you do in the end of it, when your neighbor has put you to shame? Kindle your cause with your neighbor, and do not uncover the secret of another. He who hears put you to shame, and you slander have no end. Your slander have no end. A word rightly spoken is like apples of gold in settings of silver. As a ring of gold and an ornament of fine gold, so is a wise reprover of a hearing ear. Let the cold of snow in harvest time, like the cold of snow in harvest time, so is a faithful messenger to those sending him. For he refreshes his master's soul. He who boasts himself a false gift is like clouds and wind and with no rain. In being slow to anger, a ruler is persuaded, and a soft tongue shatters the bone. Have you found honey? Eat only your fill, lest you be satisfied and vomit it out. Make your foot rare from your neighbor's house, lest he be full of you and hate you. A man who gives false witness against his neighbor is a maul, and a sword and a sharp arrow. Confidence in a treacherous man in time of distress is like a bad tooth and a slipping foot. As he who takes away a garment in cold weather, and as vinegar on soda, so is he who sings songs on an evil heart. If your hater is hungry, give him bread to eat. If he is thirsty, give him water to drink. For you shall heap coals of fire on his head, and Jehovah shall reward you. The north wind brings rain, so does a secret tongue and angry face. It is better to dwell in the corner of a housetop than to share a house with a contentious woman. Like cold waters to a weary soul, so is a good report from a far country. The righteous falling down before the wicked is like a fouled fountain and a ruined spring. It is not good to eat much honey, and to search out their glory is not glory. A man to whom there is no control to his spirit is like a broken down city without a wall. Chapter 26. As snow in summer, and as rain in harvest, so honor is not right for a fool. As the wandering bird, as the swallow in its flying, so the causeless curse shall never come. A whip for the horse, a bridle for the ass, and a rod for the back of fools. Answer not a fool according to his foolishness, lest you also become like him. Even you, answer a fool according to his foolishness, that he not be wise in his own eyes. He that sends a message by a fool's hand cuts off his own feet and drinks violence. As the legs of the lame are weak, so a proverb in the mouth of fools. As he binding a stone on a sling, so he giving honor to a fool goes up into a drunkard's hand. So fools, great is the former of all things, but he who hires a fool is like one who hires those passing by. As a dog that returns to his own vomit, so a fool repeats his foolishness. Do you see a man wise in his own eyes? There is more hope for a fool than for him. The lazy one says, a lion is in the way. A lion is in between the streets. As the door turns on its hinges, so the lazy one on his bed. The lazy one buries his hand in the dish. He is weary to bring it back to his lips. The lazy one is wiser in his own eyes than 7 that return a wise answer. The passer-by, enraging himself over strife, not his own, is like one who grabs the ears of a dog. Like a madman throwing sparks, arrows, and death, so is the man who deceives his neighbor and says, am I not joking? The fire goes out when the wood ceases, and when there is no whisperer, the strife grows silent. As coal to burning embers, so is a contentious man to kindle strife. A whisperer's words are like burns, and they descend into the chambers of the heart, as with silver drawn over an earthen vessel, so are burning lips, heart. He who hates dissembles with his lips, and in his inner being he lays up deceit. When his voice favors, do not believe him, for 7 hateful things are in his heart. Though his hatred is covered by guile, his evil will be revealed in the assembly. He who digs a pit shall fall into it, and he rolling a stone, to him it shall turn back. A lying tongue hates the one it crushes, and a flattering mouth works stumbling. Chapter 27. Do not boast in the day of tomorrow, for you do not know what a day may bring forth. Let another praise you, and not your own mouth. Let it be a stranger, and not your own lips. A stone is heavy, and a sand a burden, but a fool's anger is heavier than both. Fury is fierce, and anger overflows, but who can stand before jealousy? Better is revealed reproof than secret. Faithful are the wounds of a lover, and the kisses of a hated one are plentiful. One who is full tramples as a honeycomb, but to a hungry soul every bitter thing is sweet. A man wandering from his place is like a bird that wanders from the nest. Ointment and perfume give joy to the heart, and one's friend is sweet from the counsel of the soul. Do not forsake your friend, nor your father's friend, and do not go into your brother's house in the day of your calamity, for a near neighbor is better than a brother far away. My son, become wise and give joy to my heart, so that I may return a word to him that taunts me. A sensible man sees the evil and hides himself. The simple go on and are punished. Take the garment of him who is surety for a stranger, and hold him in pledge who is surety for a strange woman. He who rises early in the morning and blesses his friend with a loud voice, it is counted as cursing to him. Drops that never cease on a rainy day, and a contentious woman are alike. The wind, and his right hand in iron sharpens iron, so a man sharpens his friend's face. The keeper of the fig tree eats its fruit, so he keeping his master is honored. As face reflects face, and so the heart of man reflects a man. Sheol and destruction are never satisfied, so the eyes of man are never satisfied. The refining pot tries silver, and the furnace tries gold, but a man is tried by the mouth of his praise. If you pound a fool in the mortar with a pestle amidst grain, his foolishness will not turn away from him. Know well the state of your flock. Set your heart on your herds. For wealth is not forever, nor the crown from generation to generation. When the hay is removed and the tender grass is seen, and the mountain plants are taken up, the lambs will be for your clothing, and the he goats the price for a field, and there will be goat's milk enough for the food of your household, and for the life of your maidens. Chapter 28. The wicked flee, though no one is pursuing, but the righteous are as bold as a lion. Because of transgression in the land, it has many rulers, but it is prolonged by a discerning man who knows right. A poor man that oppresses the weak is like a sweeping rain that leaves no food. Those who forsake the law praise the wicked, but those who keep the law strive with them. Evil men do not understand justice, but those seeking Jehovah understand all. Better is the poor walking in his integrity than the perverse of two ways, even if he is rich. He who keeps the law is a wise son, but he who is a feeder of gluttons shames his father. He who multiplies his wealth by interest and usury, he shall gather it for him who pities the weak. Whoever turns aside his ear from hearing the law, even his prayer is an abomination. He who causes the upright to go astray in an evil way shall fall into his own pit, and the blameless shall inherit good. A rich man is wise in his own eyes, but the discerning weak searches him out. When the righteous rejoice, great is the glory, but when the wicked rise, a man will be sought. He covering his trespasses will not fare well, but one confessing and forsaking has pity. Blessed is the man always dreading God, but the one hardening his heart falls into evil. The wicked ruler is a roaring lion and a raging bear over a weak people. A ruler lacking understanding even adds oppressions. One hating unjust gain prolonged days. A man pressed down with the blood of a soul shall flee to the pit. Do not let them uphold him. He who walks blamelessly shall be saved, but the one perverse in his ways shall fall at once. He who tills his ground shall have plenty of bread, but one who pursues vanity shall be filled with poverty. A faithful man shall be full of blessings, but one rich will not be acquitted. To regard good for a man transgress for a piece of bread. A man with an evil eye hastens after wealth, but he does not know that poverty will come on him. He who reproves a man afterwards finds grace more than he who flatters with the tongue. He who robs his father or his mother and says, "It is not a transgression," he shall be a companion to a. The proud in soul stirs up strife, but he who is trusting on Jehovah shall be abundantly satisfied. He who trusts in his own heart is a fool, but he who walks in wisdom shall be delivered. He who gives to the poor shall not lack, but he who hides his eyes shall have plenty of curses. When the wicked rise, a man hides himself, but when they perish, the righteous multiply. Chapter 29. A man who hardens his neck when reproved shall be suddenly broken, and there will be no healing. When the righteous increase, the people rejoice, but the people sigh when the wicked rule. He who loves wisdom, gladness his father, but a feeder of harlots wastes wealth. A king establishes a land by justice, but he taking bribes tears it down. A man who flatters his neighbor spreads a net for his steps. A snare is in the transgression of an evil man, but the righteous sing and rejoice. The righteous attends to the cause of the weak, but the wicked does not discern any knowledge. Scornful men puff against a city, but the wise turn away anger. If a wise man disputes with a foolish man, even he shakes or laughs, and there is no rest. Men of blood hate the blameless, but the upright seek his soul. A fool brings out all of his spirit, but holding back the wise quiets it. To a ruler who listens to lying words, all his ministers are wicked. The poor and the injurious man meet together, but Jehovah enlightens both their eyes. A king that judges the weak truly shall have his throne established forever. The rod and reproof give wisdom, but a youth sent off is a cause of shame to his mother. When the wicked are multiplied, transgression increases, but the righteous shall see their fall. Correct your son, and you will get rest, and it will give you delight to your soul. Where there is no vision, the people are let loose, but blessed is he, the keeper of the law. A servant is not corrected by words, though he discerns. There is no answer. Do you see a man hasty in his words? There is more hope for a fool than of him. He, pampering his servant from youth, he shall also afterwards be his successor. An angry man stirs up contention, and a furious one abounds in transgression. The pride of man brings him low, but the humble of spirit takes hold of honor. He who shares with a thief hates his soul. He hears an oath, but does not tell it. The fear of man brings a snare, but he trusting Jehovah is set on high. Many seek the face of the ruler, but the judgment of each man is from Jehovah. An unjust man is an abomination to the righteous, and the upright of way are an abomination to the wicked. Chapter 30. The words of Agur, the son of Jakeh, the burden, the man spoke to Ithiel, even to Ithiel, and Ucal, saying, Surely I am more brutish than anyone, and I do not have the understanding of a man. I have not learned wisdom, but I do know the knowledge of holiness. Who has gone up to heaven and come down? Who has gathered the wind in his fist? Who has bound the waters in his garments? Who has made all the ends of the earth to rise? What is his name, and what is his son's name? Surely you know. Every word of God is tested. He is a shield to those who seek refuge in him. Do not add to his words, that he not reprove you, and you be found a liar. I have asked 2 things from you. Do not hold back from me before I die. Remove vanity and a lying word far from me. Do not give me poverty or riches. Tear my portion of bread, that I not become full and deceive and say, Who is Jehovah? Or that I not become poor and steal and violate the name of my God. Do not slander a servant to his master, that he not curse you and you be found guilty. A generation curses its father and does not bless its mother, a generation pure in its own eyes and yet not washed from its own filth. There is a generation, oh how lofty are its eyes, and its eyelids are lifted up, a generation whose teeth are like swords, and its jaw teeth like knives, to devour the poor from the earth and the needy from among men. The leech has 2 daughters, crying, Give, give. 3 things are not satisfied. 4 never have said, Enough. Sheol, and the barren womb. The earth not filled with water, and the fire never said enough. The eye that mocks its father and despises to obey its mother. The ravens of the valleys shall pick it out. The sons of the eagle shall eat it. 3 things are too wonderful for me. Yea, I do not know the way of 4. The way of an eagle in the heavens, the way of a snake on a rock, the way of a ship in the heart of the sea, and the way of a man with a virgin. So is the way of an adulterous woman. She eats and wipes her mouth and says, I have done no evil. The earth quakes under 3 things. Yea, it is not able to bear up under 4. Under a servant when he reigns, and a fool when he is filled with food. Under a hated one when she is married. Under a handmaid when she is heir to her mistress. 4 things are little on the earth, but they are the wise ones of those made wise. The ants are a people not strong, yet they prepare their food in summer. The rock badgers are not a powerful people, yet they make their houses in the rock. The locusts have no king, yet they go out in a swarm, all of them. The lizard you can take with the hands, yet it is in kings' palaces. There are 3 things that go well in a march, yea, 4 that go well in walking. A lion is mighty among beasts, and he does not turn away from facing all. One girded in loins, and a he goat, and a king when his army is with him. If you have been foolish in lifting yourself up, or if you have thought evil, lay your hand on your mouth. Surely the squeezing of milk brings curds, and the squeezing of the nose brings blood. So the squeezing of wrath brings out strife. Chapter 31. The words of King Lemuel. The burden that his mother taught him. What, my son, and what the son of my womb, and what the son of my vows? Do not give your strength to women, or your ways to that which wipes out kings. It is not for kings, O Lemuel. It is not for kings to drink wine, nor for princes to lust for fermented drink, that they not drink and forget what is decreed, and pervert the right of the afflicted ones. Give fermented drink to the one perishing, and wine to the bitter of soul. Let him drink and forget his poverty, and remember his misery no more. Open your mouth for the dumb, in the cause of all your sons, of the fatherless. Open your mouth, judge righteously, and defend the poor and needy. Who could find an able woman? For her value is far above jewels. The heart of her husband trusts in her, so that he has no lack of gain. She deals good with him and not evil. All she seeks wool and flax, and she works with her palms with delight. She is like the merchant ships. She brings in her food from afar. She also rises while it is still night, and gives gain to her household, and in order to her maidens. She has examined a field, and takes it. She plants a vineyard from the fruit of her hands. She has girded her loins with strength, and has made her arms strong. She tastes whether her gain is good. Her lamp does not go out by night. She has sent forth her hands on the distaff, and her palms have held the spindle. She spreads out her palms to the poor, yea, she reaches out her hands to the needy. She is not afraid of the snow for her household, for all her household are clothed with scarlet. She makes herself ornament. Her clothing is fine linen and purple. Her husband is known in the gates when he sits with the elders of the land. She makes fine linen garments and sells, and she delivers belts to the merchant. Strength and dignity are her clothing, and she shall rejoice at the day to come. She opens her mouth in wisdom, and the law of kindness is on her tongue. She watches the ways of her household, and does not eat the bread of idleness. Her children rise up and call her blessed. Her husband also praises her. Many are the daughters who work ably, but you rise above them all. Favor is deceitful, and beauty is vain, but a woman who fears Jehovah, she shall be praised. Give her of the fruit of her hands, and let her words praise her in the gates.